All right, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be doing another deck tech for the Pioneer format. This is take 3 of a couple failed attempts because my computer is a piece of shite, as I like to say. And I am in the process of getting a new setup because my computer isn't able to handle creating videos of me playing these decks. So in the meantime, I'm just going to be doing some deck techs for you guys and putting out some content that way. Just bear with me. Everything will be getting rolling here pretty soon. So let's go over this cool mid-rangey tempo deck that I created for the Pioneer format. This is an Esper hero deck for Pioneer that I created, and it's focused around the card Hero of Precinct One. And I'm sure some of you guys have seen these decks before. It's a human warrior for 2 that says whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a 1/1 human creature token. And there just happens to be a lot of good cards in those colors for Esper, which is great. We got a lot of great multicolored cards. What makes this deck unique compared to past versions is that we have a human sub-theme to it too. We are still the mid-rangey tempo sort of deck, but we have this human sub-theme. And a lot of the humans that you would want to use for a deck like this are good. So we got like Reflector Mage, um, Atris, Jace, also very good. And so these are all kind of tempo-y plays we're doing. And then we get to play the new general too, to pump our entire team and just get ahead on the board that way, turn all of our tempo plays into threats. So works really well with the hero as well. So she's pumping out these 2/2s instead, which is great. It becomes a 3/3 themselves. We also get a payoff card in Dire Tactics, just a phenomenal removal spell for 2 mana, multicolored spell as well. Says exile target creature. If you don't control a human, you would lose life equals to that creature's toughness. But all of our creatures in our deck are humans, so this thing is pretty much never damaging you. Just an all-around fantastic removal spell, and one of the reasons to be playing a shell like this. Okay, so let's just go over the rest of the deck here. We got 23 lands. I'll put a link in the description so you can see all the lands and cards I'm using here. There's 3 copies of Fatal Push and 3 copies of Thoughtseize, cards that are just too good not to play, even though they're not multicolored cards. We went over the hero there. We got 2 copies of Jace, Vryn's Prodigy, to loot through our deck, and also just keep recasting our spells from our graveyard, which is good. We got a lot of spells in this deck. Then we got the 3 Dire Tactic. We got 4 Thought Erasure, another discard spell that can put the top card of your library into your graveyard, give you a little scry effect, which we have a little bit of graveyard synergy, so that's nice as well. Got 3 copy of Reflector Mage, a nice tempo play, bouncing a creature back to their hand, not allowing them to cast it. A human and a multicolored spell. We have 4 copies of Teferi Time Raveler because Teferi is super good, and Teferi is exceedingly good with discard spells using its uptick. And so we just tick them up and put a stop on their draw step, and we have an instant speed Thoughtseize or Thought Erasure, which is kind of devastating. So we got the general here, pump our entire team, and also hates on the graveyard when humans come into play. So you got a general and a Hero Precinct 1 out there, and you're casting any sort of multicolored spell, you get to remove some cards out of the graveyard, which can be relevant in the Pioneer format. Um, very good with the Hero of Precinct One if they're playing a lot of big creatures too, because we can just keep sacking the tokens to destroy their big creatures. So really cool addition in a deck like this. We have the 2 copies of Oath of Kaya, a Lightning Helix on a stick. This card works well with Teferi, being able to bounce this back to your hand and give you repeatable removal spell, which is great. Also protects our. We have technically 8 planeswalkers, including Jace in the deck, so that's pretty cool. At the top end here, we have 2 copies of Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis. This is a cool card. When this card was first spoiled, I thought it was trash, honestly. I was like, okay, who cares? It's 3 not so good abilities, and you can recast it from your graveyard. But this card is really, really good in this deck and has won me multiple games. And it just pumps out 2/2s with the general out there. So that's pretty good. And we don't have too much else in our deck that is exiling things from our graveyard. So it's nice tempo play there. Being able to recast that over and over again. Then we got 4 copies of Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths, Legendary Human Advisor. This is my new favorite card. This card is so cool. Great design, great artwork. It's 3/2 with Menace, and it says when Atris enters the battlefield, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library and separates them into 2 piles, one face up and one face down. You get to put one of those piles into your hand and the other goes into the graveyard. So this is kind of our card advantage engine for this deck. Also works well with Teferi, bouncing this back to your hand and recasting it to gain more card advantage, and just builds a graveyard for Elspeth as well as Jace, and the 1 copy of Dig Through Time in the top slot. I did have 2 copies of Dig Through Time previously, but then I wanted to add in the 4th Atris because I think just some bias, and I think this card is so good. And I'm kind of hoping that Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise will get banned in Pioneer. They're just not fun cards. They're just, it's like you can be grinding all game and you're finally getting ahead, and then they just cast a Dig Through Time and now they're ahead of the game again. So yeah, I'm sure we're all well aware why that card is busted. Onto the sideboard here. We've got 1 Devout Decree, exiles a red or black creature or planeswalker. 2 Noxious Grasp, same thing, but for green or white creatures or planeswalkers. 2 Dovin's Veto, and 1 Mystical Dispute to counter stuff. And then we got 1 Kambal, a legendary human advisor, a multicolored spell as well, that hates on decks using not a lot of non-creature spells. We've got 2 Kaya, to hate on graveyards and gain life, and is also really good against like the Orzhov Auras deck and the Hardened Scales deck. 2 Unmoored Ego for combo decks. 1 Gideon, ally of Zendikar, for the control matchup. We've got 2 Hostage Taker, multicolored human, for the creature matchups as well. And then at the top end, 1 Merciless Eviction, which can exile all artifacts, all creatures, all enchantments, or all planeswalkers for 6 mana. Just because this deck kind of struggles against enchantment-based decks like the Doom Foretold deck. The Enchantress deck is kind of tough too, as well as Planeswalkers deck or Super Friends decks like the Fires Super Friends deck. So I just wanted something in there that could take care of both. So yeah, that is the deck. This is a super fun, grindy deck to play. You guys should try it out and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video if you could. I'd appreciate that. And just bear with me, guys. I will get everything up and running and be able to play these decks soon. And so I really appreciate your support in the meantime. All right, we'll see you guys next time.